Are we just like starving?
Totally. Red Lobster?
The first Red Lobster opened in Florida in 1968 and has made a name for itself serving lobster, shrimp, and Cheddar Bay biscuits. So between bites of lobster, take a look at these 10 secrets you need to know about Red Lobster. In the beginning,
Hey, how about we open a fancy restaurant?
like many successful restaurant chains, Red Lobster has humble origins. The first Red Lobster opened in Lakeland, Florida on January 18, 1968. Bill Darden and Charles Woodsby, the two entrepreneurs who started the seafood restaurant, envisioned it as a harbor for seafood lovers. The first location proved to be a success, so the men quickly followed up with 4 more Red Lobster locations in the Southeast. The success of these 5 restaurants quickly drew the attention of General Mills, and the corporate giant decided to buy the Red Lobster locations in 1970. General Mills invested a lot of money in its new acquisition in the 1980s, greatly increasing the number of locations. In 2009, Red Lobster started experimenting with a new restaurant idea called Bar Harbor. These locations were designed with New England coastal architecture in mind. This new concept did not prove to be profitable. In 2014, Red Lobster was under pressure from stockholders to reorganize the company. These efforts failed, and the seafood restaurant, along with its sister chain, the Olive Garden, were sold to Golden Gate Capital for $2.1 billion.
So I sell the restaurant?
Shortly after the sale, Red Lobster moved its headquarters to Orlando, Florida. While the chain has endured many changes, it continues to offer good seafood at prices customers can afford. Frozen seafood.
Awaiting a future in frozen food products.
Most people expect, or at least prefer, the seafood they order at restaurants to be fresh. However, much of the seafood sold at Red Lobster arrives at the locations frozen. There isn't necessarily anything wrong with frozen seafood, so it's more a matter of perception. Fresh seafood is much more expensive to serve than frozen seafood, so Red Lobster is able to keep costs down by delivering frozen foods to its restaurants. Because the restaurant chain uses frozen food, it can buy many of the items in bulk and buy them from suppliers outside of the United States, from countries like Mexico. These cost-cutting measures would be impossible if Red Lobster was committed to using fresh seafood at its many locations.
It's better.
Cheaper too.
Buying the seafood in bulk, shipping it frozen, and then keeping it in freezers at the locations is an efficient system. It also succeeds in delivering good quality at reasonable prices to diners. Some of these diners might think the system is less than ideal, but providing fresh seafood at so many locations would be a very expensive proposition for Red Lobster. Frozen seafood might turn off some people, but the restaurant chain probably couldn't survive without it. Frozen seafood can be very good, but it's understandable customers would prefer fresh seafood whenever possible. The biscuits.
Son of a biscuit.
Red Lobster is obviously known as a restaurant chain that sells a variety of seafood, including lobster, crab, and clam chowder. However, some people will make a case that Red Lobster's Cheddar Bay Biscuits are as popular as any of the fish dishes it offers. These biscuits have such a good reputation, you have to wonder if people sometimes go to Red Lobster just for a taste of the baked, cheesy goodness. Like many good biscuit recipes, Cheddar Bay Biscuits use the popular Bisquick mix as the core ingredient of the recipe that also includes butter, milk, and, of course, cheddar cheese. A lot of the people who work at Red Lobster are proud of the seafood they sell, and some of them are actually pretty tired of customers telling them how much they love the Cheddar Bay Biscuits.
We love it!
Despite the employees' feelings on the subject, the biscuits' popularity has only increased with the addition of a Facebook page celebrating their virtues. The page has collected more than 1 million likes from loyal customers who want to let everyone know how much they love these biscuits. Clawde.
That's the mascot.
Like many businesses, Red Lobster has created a mascot to help with its marketing efforts. McDonald's has Ronald McDonald, and Geico Insurance has that little green gecko to help sell its products. It's probably no surprise that this seafood chain, known for its lobster, has a lobster mascot named Clawde. The pun on the name Clawde is clever and easy to remember, so it was probably a good choice. Clawde has appeared in different forms over the years as part of the company's logo and has helped Red Lobster become a popular, well-known brand.
She's famous now.
The famous lobster can be seen on signs and in advertisements, but it doesn't just end there. If you want to go all out as a lobster lover, you can also get a lobster mascot costume. However, be warned that these costumes can cost more than $400 online. This seems like a lot of money for a costume, so you'd probably be better off spending the money on actual lobsters the next time you visit your local Red Lobster location. With a name like Red Lobster, the restaurant chain really didn't have much of a choice when it came to picking a mascot, but Clawde fits the bill. The blue one.
We are a rare breed.
The Red Lobster restaurant chain is famous for selling red lobsters to its customers. These lobsters are made into a variety of delicious meals. However, one special lobster became something of a celebrity for not becoming just another dish at the seafood restaurant. In the summer of 2020, a beautiful blue lobster was delivered to an Ohio Red Lobster location. Only about 1 in every 2 million lobsters have the genetic mutation that makes their shell blue instead of red. The restaurant staff was surprised to see the rare animal in a shipment of lobsters and decided to take action to save it from a lobster's usual fate.
We have to help her.
After the employees made sure the exotic lobster was real and not some sort of prank, they decided to give it a reprieve. They were determined that this lobster would not meet the same fate as the others. While the situation was being sorted out, this special lobster was kept in the tank with the other lobsters. The staff were united in their decision to not allow a customer to choose it for their dinner. Instead of being made into a delicious bisque, this female lobster was given the name Clawde, the name of Red Lobster's mascot, and sent to a zoo in Akron, Ohio. A manager at the zoo confirmed that Clawde settled in at her new home without much trouble and became a popular attraction. The real thing?
Is this thing real?
Oh, yes.
When you go to a restaurant called Red Lobster, you probably expect to get real lobster. However, this might not always be the case, and it's one of the secrets you need to know. An investigation into a number of seafood restaurants in 2016 revealed some unwelcome news for Red Lobster and its lobster lovers. The lobsters you see in the tank might not be the kind of lobsters used in many of the dishes you order. More than a third of the lobster dishes tested during the investigation contained a species of lobster called langostino. This species of lobster is cheaper and is more closely related to hermit crabs than the lobsters you might have assumed you were getting.
You tricked me? You tricked me!
When the popular seafood chain was confronted with the results of the investigation, it provided a reasonable, if not completely satisfying, explanation. Using langostino lobsters allows Red Lobster to serve some form of lobster when the regular lobsters they usually serve are out of season. Sometimes customers will get a mix of both kinds of lobster depending on what dishes they order. The company has argued that all the lobster meat it uses is good quality and tastes great, and this very well might be true. The folks at Red Lobster certainly defend this policy, but it's probably a policy they would rather keep under wraps as much as possible. The ultimate feast.
Lobster, 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 you are delicious.
This meal includes a sample of Red Lobster's popular dishes such as Walt's favorite shrimp, Maine lobster tail, garlic shrimp scampi, and North American snow crab legs. For seafood lovers, this is a mouth-watering assortment. You also get a choice of 2 sides such as broccoli, rice, baked potato, or French fries. Also, don't forget that the delicious Cheddar Bay Biscuits everyone loves are served with every entree.
We got everything here.
Red Lobster likes to recommend this meal because the restaurant chain believes it highlights all the best things that it has to offer. The ultimate feast gives people a chance to try a variety of seafood to see what they like and don't like. If you're a fan of all of the dishes, that's great, but if you're not sure about which to pick, the ultimate feast is a tasty way to find out. The calorie conscious might be interested to know that a serving of the ultimate feast contains about 1,100 calories. But don't let that ruin your diet, just enjoy. From the source.
We're gonna take it to the source.
Red Lobster wants to provide good food to its customers at prices they can afford, and this isn't always easy to do. In order to keep costs down, the seafood chain is careful where it gets its food supply. The seafood chain would rather keep quiet about the sources it uses for its lobster and crab. When asked about it, the company usually gives a vague response, explaining that it uses sources located all around the world. When Red Lobster decided to name specific locations, the list included the waters off New England, the Caribbean, Scotland, and Brazil. Of course, this means most of the seafood has to be shipped frozen to the restaurants. It would simply be much too expensive for all of the Red Lobster locations to use fresh seafood. The customers have to understand that many Red Lobster locations are far away from fishing towns, where it would be relatively quick and inexpensive to provide fresh seafood.
It is not fresh.
Are you serious?
Not everyone has been happy with the company's sourcing methods, and in 2021, it found itself facing a lawsuit. Red Lobster was accused of using inhumane and unsustainable methods at its shrimp farms in Southeast Asia. The restaurant chain insisted it has vetted its suppliers and stands by them. Regardless of the truth about where the seafood comes from, these aren't the things people usually focus on when they visit their local Red Lobster. Get the shrimp.
I want to get the shrimp. Something shrimp.
It's no surprise that lobster is a popular choice at Red Lobster, but the shrimp might be a better bet for many seafood lovers. The restaurant chain overhauled its menu in 2015, and the shrimp dishes received some special attention. The shrimp entrees were reintroduced with new recipes, larger shrimp, as well as larger portions. The shrimp dishes were increased in size by at least 47%, and this translates into a lot of extra shrimp. Red Lobster sells 80 million servings of the popular shellfish every year, and this means a big chunk of revenue for the restaurant chain.
Money.
Red Lobster's shrimp scampi is only one of several coveted shrimp dishes you can order at Red Lobster. And let's not forget Red Lobster's endless shrimp promotion, offered to customers periodically to help increase business and please a lot of people who love shrimp. These all-you-can-eat shrimp promotions include a selection of shrimp dishes as well as a salad, side, and the Cheddar Bay Biscuits. This sounds like an extra good deal for shrimp lovers with big appetites. Service with a smile.
Let's put a smile on that face.
Many people like to take pride in the work they do, and the people who work at Red Lobster are no different. The seafood chain has a reputation for being a good place to work if you're interested in trying your hand at a job in the restaurant industry. Both current and former employees of the Red Lobster chain have posted online about their experiences. The people who run Red Lobster would be happy to know that many employees believe that the company cares about the well-being of the staff and tries to create a positive environment for them.
Think positive, Frank.
You be positive, I'll be realistic.
Difficult customers and a fast pace can make the job stressful, so it's good to know that the employees feel like Red Lobster tries to support them. In addition to the overall work environment, many employees appreciate that they get a free meal during their shift and generally have flexible schedules. A lot of the waiters feel like the tips could be better, but this is a fairly common complaint across the restaurant industry as a whole. Like any job, not every employee is thrilled to work at Red Lobster, but the company seems to make a genuine effort to treat its employees well. Order up more great videos. Just tap or click and hit that subscribe button and ring that bell to join our notification squad.